Focus on Liberia. We discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
And I am Anthony Seed, and a pleasant welcome to this edition of Focus on Liberia. We are here to discuss, as always, very significant topics concerning the nation, Liberia, our country. And I'm here excited to have my good friend and brother, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, a gentleman who patriotism for our country is unbending, unrelenting, and untiring. And we will discuss the motherland, for that land is all ours. And the solutions that we are all looking for must start with national conversation that is thorough, truthful, honest, and holds power accountable. Dr. Pearson, how you doing? Welcome.
Thank you, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be on the show tonight. And I want to say hi to our viewers out there and our listeners. It's a pleasure again tonight. Look, we look forward to an interesting conversation, one that will build our nation up and inform our people as we continue to push for a better Liberia.
Thank you, Dr. Pearson. And I want to join you to welcome our viewers across the entire globe. And those of you who are following us right now, we want you to participate. We need a little bit of help from you to share the broadcast with somebody. And stay with us as we have this national discussion. On our menu, the Congress for Democratic Change has celebrated 22 years of existence as a major political party in our country, Liberia. It did so in Zwedru, Grand Juda County. And also, we'll be discussing the RIA cocaine bust that is racking the nation, and we are all scrambling for answers. And the government obviously is under pressure to give us the answers that we are looking for. And it seems to be even updates are not coming as much as it should be. Others are accusing the government of being complicit in this particular fight against drugs in Liberia. Then finally, we will also look at the Unity Party. The Unity Party is now the governing party, and as a government, it has been making efforts to move our country forward in terms of development. We want to know what the Unity Party has been able to achieve so far. Have those things increased the Unity Party chances for 2029? Or are those things, whether or not they are significant, will now move the needle for other reasons, maybe the economic conditions in the country? We want to assess those things and see whether the achievements, the pluses of the Unity Party will help to increase its chances for 2029, or that will not matter in as much as the economic conditions or how Liberians are feeling about the Unity Party with that sense of feeling, undermine whatever gains the Unity Party might have had and continue to have. For example, the issue of the yellow machine. That was big news. According to the Unity Party, they have delivered on that. The Unity Party is saying it is delivering on the provision of electricity that, power supply is getting current. They are increasing the capacity at the hydro, that the solar aspect of it. And then they are making gains on roads, rehabilitation and roads, construction and pavement, and so on and so forth. Are those things monumental enough to increase the Unity Party's chances for 2029? So we want to assess this thing, and we are happy to have Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, who is an author and focus on liberal neo-progressive commentator. Folks, share this broadcast. You're going to enjoy a very significant and scintillating discussion. Dr. Pearson, let's get started. The CDC, 22 years, under the leadership of George Manawia. Share with us this anniversary, 2 years, by the CDC. Is this something worth celebrating? And how does that connect to the entire history of Liberia democracy, looking at the CDC in particular?
Thank you, Anthony. That's a fascinating question, because that question, it depends on the lens that you want to use to appreciate that question. First of all, I look at it from two lenses, right? So the first lens I might want to use is on a scale of advancement of democracy in Liberia, as it may sound, multi-party democracy in Liberia, that quote-unquote progressives of Liberia said they fought for multi-party space, right? So and now we were able to have had a party celebrating 22 years of existence. That in itself is monumental, considering the price we paid for this space. Over 250,000 people lost their lives, right, in a civil crisis that was premised on marginalization, political dominance, economic dominance, and marginalization, and where a few people felt that not much was being done to open the political space. So now that we have a political space where a party can not only just be in opposition, but can serve in opposition and then over time serve as in position, and over time go back into opposition, that tells you that democracy is working, and power is changing hands. And I think that's good for any country that is aspiring towards a liberal democracy. With another lens, people will look at it from a much more partisan lens. If I were looking at it from a UP perspective, I would criticize them and say, well, they came on the stage, they were given the opportunity and they did not utilize it properly. And so they were not given the second chance. And the Liberian people overwhelmingly pushed them away and turned power over to, today we have the rescue mission, which is the Joseph boycott movement. But again, it goes back to say politics is like a revolving door, Anthony. The door swings back and forth. So you may get there, you may use power properly or abuse it. You might get kicked out, and then you will come back again, learn from your mistakes, and try to do it better. And I think that's where CDC is right now in celebrating that their anniversary, hoping that they can come back and do something better than they did before.
And Dr. Pearson, stay with the CDC here. The way the CDC has participated, governed, as a government, and played the politics as an opposition, and for the length of time it did so, you compare that with all the political parties that might have come before the CDC. Will you say the CDC is very successful as a political party in Liberia?
Well, it depends how we will define success. If success will mean that the Liberian people's lives are better than when CDC took power and left power, I would say no. Success in terms of how They have held up to their own party aspirations and dreams and longevity, hanging around, beating the odds. They may see that as a success. So it depends how we want to measure success. So I would say this for a fact, Anthony, I've seen party come and go because it is individual driven. A lot of the time, parties in Liberia is centered around an individual. One classic example would be the NPP losing Charles Taylor, and NPP, I mean, automatically lost the space to govern. We go to Unity Party losing Ellen Johnson. Sirleaf was the most popular person at the time for her party, and we saw the party losing power. We saw George Weah getting the power, the most popular man in Liberia at the time on the CDC ticket, and they won the elections. When George Weah became unpopular, CDC lost the election. Now, Joseph Boyka got rallied around, and the people went in the dirty water and thinking and voted him in office with the hope that he come and make a difference. So the party rallied around Joseph Boyka as an individual. Now Joseph Boyka is dismally performing. Now you see that admiration is winning, and now the opposition is gaining the momentum. So that CDC, as one would say, not my opinion, but one would say, a failed quest in the first term, has the audacity to even come back to want to get back into politics and into power because of the feelings of the Unity Party. But I think there's a twist to this, Anthony. CDC celebration today is not only because of how long they have been in power. I think the Unity Party have given them more political ammunition in that out of the egregious crimes that they were accused of, and out of the propaganda that was meted out against them, for indicting them in the court of public opinion, the Unity Party has failed, miserably, to hold those guys to account and to expose the ills and excesses that they pointed to when they were in opposition. So now CDC can celebrate and say, well, you may think that we were not successful in our 6 years, but everything that was said against us was just lies and propaganda. And it does not measure up in the court of law with Samuel Tuer. It does not measure up in the asset recovery movement. It has not measured up to any significant court cases against the CDC that have shown us to be what they said we were. So at that point, yeah, they are successful from the political standpoint if you use the political lens, Mr. C.
Thank you. Let's look at what was the CDC trying to accomplish, politically speaking, with this celebration, and the location it also chose. Will you say anything was accomplished with the anniversary celebration? And if so, what was accomplished actually in the life of CDC and its political standing? Was anything achieved? Was the location, did the location add anything to, the execution of the program?
Oh, yeah, yes, Mr. Sia, yes. I would say, and you can push me if you want to, but I would say there are significant change in the political atmosphere right now in Liberia, Monrovia, Liberia. Right now, I think the Unity Party hierarchy, they are jittery. I think they are beginning to see now that they are patronizing the opposition more than they think they are. They are exposing their weaknesses to not compete against them now that they are in power. And you say, what did they achieve? I think they have achieved a significant step towards rebranding. That's what I saw from the CDC celebration, because the mere fact that they picked Alexander Cummings, who comes with a level of panache, a level of political capital in terms of his integrity, in terms of his credibility, in terms of his international connections. So I guess they are trying to send a message out there that, listen, even if we have excesses in our governance in the past, and we made some mistakes in the past, we are now bringing people on board who have the gravitas to bring to us what we didn't have before. So like we've learned from our mistakes, and now we are willing to learn. So you saw them trying to reconcile with Cabinet John, if you can bring that to light as well. See them reconciling with Cabinet John, who Cabinet once upon a time feel that he was egregiously harmed by them when he was impeached as one of the Supreme Court justices, right, by a CDC-led government. But now you see Cabinet Janet coming behind them. So that shows some sign of reconciliation and unity. You see Alexander Cummings coming to tell us in a remarkable turn of event that, look, Unity Party is governing so dismally and has embarrassed us from the opposition perspective, because we all fought within the opposition before against the CDC, but they have not proven anything significantly wrong that we all claim that the CDC did. And secondly, they are governing even worse than the CDC. We see more abuse of the rule of law now than ever we saw under the CDC. So right now, as it stands, CDC is now rebranding, and I think that is going to place them in a more favorable position going forward, Anthony.
The CDC, as you rightly said, invited some key members and parties in the opposition community. The ANC, Alexander Cummings, the CMC, Musa Hassan Belete, the MPC, Simeon Freeman, and some statesmen in our community. You mentioned Justice Kabina, Justice Kabina Janet. Ure was mentioned. I understand they invited Joel Howard Taylor, who I believe sent a message. And then I also heard that Amara Connor sent a representative. He was invited. So from the list we've read of saying so far, this is CDC reaching out to key members in the opposition community. And not only that, but was able to bring them to Zwedru. And during the ceremony, you could see the opposition leaders were all talking about, unity, opposition unity, to hold the current administration accountable. And we've heard these things before, and then in most instances, there'll be disintegration, when it comes to deciding a ticket. We saw that as far back in the 90s, the Cleto Waters situation you are familiar with, and fast forward the CPP and many others in the middle, right? So is there any reason, any Liberian listening to us now, you being a social and political commentator, you follow these things, is there any reason to think that it will be different? Is there even a possibility for these political leaders in the opposition that I mentioned, for them to really come together? And if they do it, what was bringing them together in the first place?
Thank you, Anthony. Before I answer that question, if you permit me, let me delve into a point you raised earlier about why Grand Jida. Grand Jida is strategic for a reason. A lot of people think Grand Jida does not put up a significant amount of votes as compared to Lofa, Bon County, Monserrado County, Grand Bassa County, and Maggie to put up some category of vote. But Grand Jida is strategic for a reason. Let me mention this. President Boykai did carry on a ritual, right, where he seems to have appealed to the people of Grand Jida by giving President Doe reburial. You recall that, right? Exactly. Along with his wife, he did exercise a level of appeal to that demographic by giving Samuel Doe, who before then seemed to have been no one want to talk about character, no one want to associate with character because of his association with some form of tyrannical rule in our country, and the killing of 13 men on the poor, the killing of the former president Torbo. So Joseph President Boykai's action in Zwedru to bury a son of Zwedru was a political card he played, and I think he was playing that card in George Weah Bagia. So there's a valid reason why George, a former president, Weah would want to reaffirm his connection to Grand Jida County and tell him, look, there's no one who is more Grand Jidan than me in terms of your son, right? So President Barack cannot come and fool you here, cannot come and pretend here to assume that he liked Grand Jida more than some of us because he's trying to play a political game. So I can see why the CDC will go there and reclaim that territory. I would call it sanctify the air in Grand Jide. Now, when it comes to whether a coalition can hold, I would say it is too soon to tell right now. But what I think I see happening, Anthony, is the will, right? The political will being formed, and that is crucial because every major tree that grows starts with a seed that is sown, and I think CDC have sown their seed, and CDC, quote unquote, you ask for specific, and I want to help you here with some specific for your viewers. You ask for specific. What are some of the things that will stand out that you can trust that a coalition can come out of CDC in that direction that they're going to? Let me name 3 things that should draw our attention to any viewers out there. One, if you can recall, CDC did win the election with a coalition. They may not have been an elaborate coalition, but they did go to power with a coalition that held, right? Even though the former vice president, Joel Taylor, would say, and that she wasn't treated well, and NPP does have some level of discontent with that marriage, but that marriage was there throughout the 6 years tenure. So you know that they have a history of holding together with a collaboration, however fragile it might be. Second, don't forget, back in the day, President, we have demonstrated, former president, we have demonstrated that as a political leader for the CDC, he is not beyond allowing someone to head a ticket ahead of him. President, we have tried for the presidency before and he didn't win, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. When he went back to do it, Winston Tubman said, I've been given an opportunity, let me lead this ticket and let's see what we're going to do with it, right? And he succumbed the role to Winston Tubman, and he went as second to Winston Tubman. So that tells you it is within his character, it is within his humility to be able to do that if it came to it for the sake of the country. Whether he can do that now that he has tested being president and want to come down as vice president after that high level. But I can see, based on history, that there's a possibility that he is able to step aside and say, look, for the sake of the country, I can give the thing up to someone else because of the history. And third, and this is what I want to close on this question from you, Anthony. And third, CDCians, you can say all you want to say about them, right? You can say all you want to say about CDCians. CDCians listens to George Manawia. CDCians listen to George Manawia. If George Manawia had a political gathering, a conference, where he said to the CDC and say, listen, for the sake of the country and for the peace of our nation and for the progress of our nation, I want us to allow Mr. Cummings to be the stand-up bearer for a coalition that we are going to hold in this next election, 2029. I can say to you without a shadow of doubt, CDCians will listen to the former President George Manawia because it has happened before.
Thank you. And folks, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony C. Hosting here. Do us a favor and share the broadcast with somebody. You're going to benefit from a very severe and responsible national discussion. Here I have with me Dr. Clarence R. Pearson. He's Focused on Liberia New Progressive commentator. Dr. Pearson, President Weah stay on this anniversary was not present. You mentioned that President Bouaka made a smart political move recently by going to bury the son of Grand Jida, the late President Doe, by according him a respect of a former president. And I think the people of Grand Jida appreciated that. So this is President Weah now, who has benefited from the grace of the people of Grand Jida. And the party decided it would carry the anniversary to Grand Jida. And he knew about this. So he had options to attend an event, to not only honor the party, but to appreciate the people of Grand Jida at a formal ceremony in Grand Jida. and to stay away and stay with his family in the United States. I don't know whatever reason he's here in the United States. He chose not to be there. Do you think it plays well? Was that well calculated? Did that call the people of Grand Jida respect from a man who benefited from their support more than any other, political actor in our country since the war ended?
Look, Anthony, that is not an easy question to answer. And I'm not the spokesperson for the CDC, but I can say this much, right? People need to understand that in the political space that we function in right now, it's more exposed to the public than it used to be before. So, would have been more political capital, more for political capital for former President George Weah to have been at that occasion in person? I would say yes, right? It would have been an added political capital. But at the same time, if we're in the days where we didn't have strong access to information, if we're at a time that we didn't have strong access to information, I would have said in many ways, listen, then George Weah would have been in problem, right? If we didn't have access to information. Can you hear me, Anthony?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, my computer gave me problem. So if you say we didn't have access to information like before, the ruling party would spin this whole situation to the extent that they will put CDC back against the wall. But no, we have access to information. Now the entire country is aware that George Manuel Weah, former president, has a contract with the FIFA, the World Football Body, right? And his contract is currently active within a very strong and high level a period of FIFA's function, and that is the World Cup, right? So not only is former President Weah is at a contracted function with the FIFA, he is contracted at the time that FIFA is having what we call the epiphany of the entire soccer game, the pinnacle of the game, which is the FIFA World Cup. And in addition to that, former President Weah's son is currently playing in the World Cup as well. So when you translate that to the Liberian people understand the importance of family. Liberian people understand the importance of soccer. Liberian people understand the importance of hard work. So they can grant him a pass for his absence, and I think they will appreciate him more for the level of involvement that he has brought to the community. Look, let me say this to any Ghanaian listening to me in the diaspora: the mere fact that occasion was held in Grand Jida, Anthony, there was economic boom to that community. There was economic benefit to that community. People who have their hotels. And I slept in Grand Jida a couple of times when I used to go there for few operations. I already got a number of hotels there. If you slept in a hotel, I guess all the hotels were booked for a couple of days. I guess the radio stations had contracts running for a couple of days because they had to run the promos and other stuff. I guess clubs ran. I understand. I know small shops and businesses did that stuff. Guys who stayed in the gasoline and the lid pimping rather than all the guys were in good business for a couple of days that people were there. People who were saying the liquor and thing, I mean, the businesses were booming, right? And so the market women were happy. So there was some economic benefit. So there are more to the benefit of that occasion being there than just the absence of president. We have physical presence. So I guess they will look at the other benefit that it brought to them, and then they will weigh the pros and the cons.
Dr. Pearson, given what you said, that he's on a contract with the FIFA for the ongoing World Cup, I don't know the facts, and I'm sure you know what you're talking about. So I will agree with you that he may have a contract with the FIFA. But Dr. Pearson, what is also true is that any place of work, you can ask for excuse. You can ask for 1 week excuse. The FIFA World Cup that is going on, he's not a player on the field. All right. He chose to speak to his people via phone. He could exercise whatever role he needed to play with the FIFA via phone or virtually for maybe 4 or 5 days or a week. He could ask for a week excuse and attend the event organized by his party in a country that's been so gracious to him and return back to work. We all do that. We ask for excuse. We go to Liberia to attend family events. We ask for excuse to go for wedding and many other things. And we return back to work. So I don't know whether the people of Grand Judah will accept if that is actually what the party is saying as the reasons for President Weah's absence. I don't know whether that explanation is befitting, or calling the people of Grand Judah, the respect and the honor they needed from this man they see as their son. I don't know. I think he could have asked for excuse, but he did not do so. I think it's a madness.
No, you have a point there. Like I said, it's not an easy question to answer. And I'm not the spokesperson of Unity Party, but I can tell you for a fact that
not Unity Party, but CDC.
Yeah, for CDC rather. I'm not the spokesperson for CDC, but I can say this much, and I will continue to say, Anthony. When you are dedicated a responsibility by a high level institution like the FIFA, one of the world's most multi-dimensional, multinational, national, multi-complexity structure, right? And if you are serving as the head of the anti-racism leadership, when racism is at its peak in our in the world as we speak today, the Iranians, for that matter, cannot even stay in the U.S. to play their games. They have to fly out and in the U.S. every single time they play a game. People, match commissioners, technical teams, coaches, and referees can better have an entry into the U.S. or into Canada for the games that they are playing at this critical juncture. Not only that, George Weah is also a high-profile panel member on that racism and FIFA fair play. So he has to be on ground 24/7 while this tournament is going on. So I can understand why.
Dr. Pearson, do you really know that for a fact? Hold on, Dr. Pearson, and I'm going to hold you here. Do you know that for a fact that he needed to be there in the United States 24/7 during the entire duration of the World Cup? Do you have any access to his contract and what it says in there?
So that's where we need to invite Eugene Nangwe, who is the chief of office staff of the president right now, a former president, and he could tell us that. But in my professional opinion, right? In my professional opinion, and I will bring Liberia's argument back to itself. When the former president was president of the Republic of Liberia and he was given a duly elected role to play and the responsibility, when he get that responsibility for something else, Liberian people beat on him and say he was irresponsible as a leader. That he was given a contract by the Liberian people and he abandoned the contract and he left for a duration of time and did not stand up to the obligation. So we cannot have it both ways. We cannot say we want a responsible individual who can sign the contract and stand up to the contract and have dedicated responsibility to other people to lead. And we also argue in Liberia that we need leadership where one person don't dominate the space. So we want to see a political party or a political era where people can be dedicated responsibility and assume and give them the leverage to function without having a supremacist leadership or supremacist president over them. So if we can dedicate responsibilities and opposition leaders can step up to the plate and provide his coverage, that's something we need to applaud. The mayor is doing a piece of job. All right. If he has the opportunity to go back to Liberia and redo this thing, I think he will. Until then, I think the attraction for me was the guest of honor, and the guest of honor to me in that whole occasion was Alexander Benedict Cummings.
Well, that appears saying, I don't know. You remember when President Weah was serving as president of Liberia? He took off about a month. All right. And I think it was the very World Cup, isn't it? Yeah, it was the very World Cup. He took off for about a month to go to Qatar to be part of the World Cup. So this was a president who was given a constitutional mandate by his people to serve them. And he asked for excuse and traveled for a month. He left his country behind. I'm sure he left people in charge to carry out the duties of the presidency. He asked for excuse for a month. And now he's FIFA. He's playing a role with FIFA. And he can't ask for excuse for at least a week to attend an event of this significance in a significant county that has been gracious to him. Well, you are not the spokesman of CDC, so I will cut you slides. I will call you a little slide on that. And you are saying maybe we can get Eugene. Maybe we can get Eugene. Eugene is a coward who would not sit before anybody are focused on Liberia to have an interview because he know that he will not be able to answer any serious question because he will not find the answer. Because the questions we have for him, the answers, he doesn't have the answers for that. If he have any answers, it will be the truth, and that truth will embarrass him. All right. So let Life focus on Liberia. Anthony say that Clarence R. Pearson is focused on Liberia, new progressive commentator. We will move to something else, and let's get your take on the Unity Party criticism and reaction to the CDC anniversary day in Grand Juda. First, they talk about, well, there was not much, the crowd was not huge, well, the president was not there, and well, they travel on the road and to get to Grand Juda, UP made that possible. And, I mean, all these criticisms, and then a lot of criticism we can't leave out. Well, some of them said, well, shame on Cummings for going to CDC event to address CDC, as the keynote speaker. And it says shame to, some of them said Mr. Cummings is shameless and he's desperate. Many things they said. I want to get your take on some members of the ruling Unity Party reaction to the whole thing. And the other thing is that would it have been better for President Bouaka to show up there, to show political maturity, to reconcile the country a little bit, to lower the tempo, because I see tension between the two political institutions. Would that also have been something good for our country, politics?
Thank you, Anthony. Look, that's where it becomes disheartening, right? When you hear the political talking point from the Unity Party. So from what you just mentioned, Unity Party saying it's a shameful thing for Cummings to be identifying with the CDC at this time, even for other political parties and barriers to be going around the CDC, considering CDC history. But isn't that a contradiction to the whole idea of national unity? Isn't that a stiff contradiction to the whole idea of national unity? Isn't that a stiff contradiction to the whole idea of when President Bouaka said arrest a agenda for inclusive development? So what does inclusive mean to President Bouaka and the Unity Party folks? What does unity mean to President Bouaka and the Unity Party folks? I think I know what it means. I think for President Bouaka, it's his key, it's his play to win an election and cannot visit the former president and sit down and set out their beats. right? Whatever problem they have, and say, look, you are the former president of the Republic of Liberia. We are fortunate to have 3 former presidents of the Republic of Liberia in our history. And the fact that we have these living individuals with us now, Charles us in the head, we cannot go there and do anything with him or for him. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is there. She's part of my political party, right? And then you there from the opposition, all right? But you are former leaders of our country. For us to demonstrate the reconciliation and the unity we want to see amongst our common people, the ordinary Liberians, that unity must begin with us. If President Booker cannot pick up phone to call Josh Manning Weah, or cannot drive to the rehab house where President Booker and President Weah shares similar community, just less than 2 minutes drive from President Booker's house to former President Weah's house. If President Booker cannot drive to former President Weah's house, then I got serious problem with that criticism. Because for me, the criticism is not in the best interest of Liberia. That's not the kind of Liberia we want. The kind of Liberia we want is the kind of Liberia where when there is campaign, yes, campaign vehemently. All right, play your propaganda. When campaign is over, then govern well, govern with unity, govern with reconciliation, govern with Liberia first image and focus, govern with reconciliation in mind. You cannot be castigating opposition leaders for coming together, and the very ruling party that governs the entire country cannot put the opposition parties together. Then, Anthony, what does that say about the governance structure of our country on a boycott, right? So let me say this in closing on this question you just asked. Then I think CDC is doing a better job than the ruling administration. A CDC who has been an outstep party that we consider to be the most unfavorable party. My friend Dr. Duke said, a party that just got a dent in their popularity can put the opposition leaders together outside of Monrovia, where they have to drive for miles and hours uncomfortably in the rural parts of the country just to sit down and meet together and have a national unity. Why in the ruling party cannot do that? Well, I don't see why the criticism will hold any weight to me. So again, it goes back to where I was saying, then CDC is gaining political capital because now they are putting together a force that will be formidable. Even if there's no coalition, the fact that CDC has managed to get the opposition leaders around their table, it means to say they are coming out of there now with one voice. And that one voice will be the voice that would taunt Unity Party, that will bully Unity Party politically into submission.
Well, I want you to take up your analyst cap and put it on your head. You are an analyst here. I'm focused on Liberia, and I need a fair analysis from you. Take out your commie hat, because I know you support Alexander Benedict Cummings, and throw it all the way beside Kepamos hat. Just put it on the beach there. Let it see where shake it and make it white so you can wear it again. So on a serious note here, my friend, at the event, Mr. Cummings said something during his speech. And, Focus on Liberia, we did an analysis of his speech. Anybody who have not had the opportunity to listen to an analysis, go and Focus on Liberia Facebook page, look for analysis, Alexander Benedict keynote address. You will get all the meat in the speech. He says something key that, look, if it means that I will be the cowboy or anything collaboration for the opposition, in as much as it advances, the politics and the formats of our country, and I'm paraphrasing your words here, I will do so. That's one part of it. Then Musa Hassan Belete also said, look, anything that we do, there had to be some of a framework that we can base on, that we can work around. And he's not going to be part of any opposition collaboration, and that it's not based on solid policies. I want you to break that down for our people. Are these leaders people that we can say, well, whatever they say, they're going to live by it? Or these are all political talking points for them to look good, but when the rubber meets the road, they will all disappear in their silos?
You know, so this is what I would say to that. In my estimation, like you say, I should use my own honest analysis. In my estimation, we should have in leadership continual improvement. You know, we should improve over time, and it's, you know, to err is human, right? But even in our mistakes, we should aim at improving. In other words, we have to be growth. We have to have a growth mindset, right? So if I have group of political leaders who have over the past 20 plus years now has been in this theater, trying to get a grips of politics in Liberia, I would imagine that they are learning over the period of time as they are trying to exercise their political career. So, have they made mistakes in the past? Yes. Have they done some things right in terms of collaboration? Yes. Like I mentioned before, CDC collaboration with NPP and other political parties they hold. Is there something that the CDC can bring to the table in terms of collaboration and partnership going to elections 2029? Of course, they can bring some best practices from their experience. Can ANC, BDT, Benin UA, can they come to the table to go into 2029 in terms of any partnership or collaboration? Liberty Party, which was before what a guy named BDT, but now he's on his own CMC now. Can they come into a new partnership now, more experienced, more organized, more thoughtful of what they're going to be doing? I expect that. I expect that. And if I expect that, then it takes me to the next level. The next level here is that then what can they learn from their past experience? Ben Ayue was used as a flow map by Joseph Boyka to get to power, and he was dashed outside of the house after they entered the building, right? Is Ben Ayue going to allow himself to be used again by another individual to propel somebody else to power and negating the fact that he has a character and an integrity to maintain going forward? He probably may have learned his lesson. I would expect so, right? Mr. Cummings is going into any further partnership knowing that he was given the short hand of the bargain before. Okay, what it said that he did wrong, and now he can do better. I'm sure he's going to be going into any further partnership with that caution. So I'm saying in short, even Cabinet John and now putting his foot into politics will also have some things that when I thought CDC Unity Party men well when in opposition try to navigate things, but the talking point of power.
All right, folks, bear with us here. There's some technical glitch at the end of our new progressive commentary today. If you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing CDC at 22 years. CDC just celebrated.
For it, Anthony.
Yeah. So you can continue now. Yeah, continue on.
So he was saying, so then you are talking point to get power.
We stay. That Pearson can hear me?
You getting me now? Yeah, you know.
It went bad. It went
bad. So what he said, yeah. So I was saying about Cabinet General. What he said now, am I going to allow myself to just be used as a talking point and sit down quietly, or am I going to get involved myself and see how the things turn out so that I know what is going to be dished out to me tomorrow? So you see, everybody have learned something from the past, and so in my opinion, they are going forward with a learning experience. But this much I would say.
All right. That appears in there trying to provide some cogent analysis, but the connection at its end is not strong enough. There has to be some technical issues there. So bear with me. He will be joining us. So while I wait for that Pearson, let me see how I can, do some analysis on the, I think that Pearson is coming by. So let me maintain my role as host Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know,
you
maybe,
own
maybe
Kabina Janet's own experience in, some sort of involvement, maybe in the past with these political actors. Maybe he might engage differently now. Go ahead, sir.
yes. So now you see Cabinet Janet. Don't forget Cabinet Janet was very clear. He mentioned he mentioned clearly some of the things that he felt were not right, and now going forward, he's looking to see it being done properly. So like I said, I think they've learned from their past, and I will hope that going forward they will move forward cautiously. This is what I was transitioning to at this point. You still getting me, right?
Yeah, I'm getting you. You're clear
So
now.
this
Go
where
ahead.
this is where I was transitioning to. No, I believe when it comes to opposition going forward, from all that we've learned so far, we are not far removed from what we want for Liberia. So I would think that the pro-poor agenda, the poverty reduction strategy, like Live Liberia poverty reduction strategy, or the arrest agenda, I don't think they are all different from what they all are. They all want the same thing, but they are being named differently because the need of Liberian poor remains the same. Liberian poor need better education, they need infrastructure, they need roads, they need better health care, they need security. So all those things are going to remain constant. I think what we are missing in Liberia so far that we need now to work towards going to 2029 is an opposition that can covenant themselves. When I say covenant themselves, they can have that righteous, that politically righteous agreement. Oh, we
Go
lost
ahead,
Anthony.
Dr. Pearson. Go ahead. I'm
Lost
here.
Anthony. All right, we can easy tonight. I think that United Party trying to sabotage our show tonight. we
No,
can we
I'm
can
here.
have
I'll
that.
remove myself on screen to get something. Go ahead.
Okay, so we can have that, covenant, or in other words, we can have that political agreement that has some level of integrity, some level of where we can regain trust, we can rebuild trust, where we can rebuild confidence in each other, and allow the public to build confidence in us as well as the opposition, so that going into 2029, the Liberian people cannot be given a whole set of new expectations because the expectations are already clear. You do not need a surgeon to tell Liberian people what their needs are. We already know what the needs of the Liberian people are. What we need honest politicians. We need serious-minded politicians. We need disciplined politicians. We need politicians that will put themselves aside and put the Liberian people forward. We need a chain of leadership, all right, that will say to themselves and say, look, gentlemen, we all have our political parties, we all have our political sides. If even we're not agree to say that we all will be president at the same time, but can we all come together this time around and move this country forward? And can we have a covenant, a political covenant to achieve that? Because the Liberian people deserves better. And I close to say this. You may not have heard it from anybody else other than me, Anthony. The current generation of politicians we got in Alexander Cummings and Boyka them, their season is over. Their political season is over. These guys are in injury time. If they want to give a good hand off to the next generation of Liberians, that hand off can happen after 2029. After 2029, there are many names we see in politics today in terms of the doing of our political space will be incapacitated because of age to move anything forward.
So my last question on this, right? We have to recognize the role our institutions play in our body politics and in the life of our nation, especially when talking about political governance. And I know because of the too much tension in our politics, sometimes we don't take a step back to look at, what are the pluses, from some of our institutions. And I think it is about time that we start looking at that too as, another element of building reconciliation and also projecting the maturity of our party. Why couldn't President Walker have gone to the CDC event as head of state? Could he not only as head of state, but as a political leader in the country. Looking at CDC history, a young political party that came in the picture some 22 years ago, and in no time, we captured the hearts and minds of a good number of Liberians and will go to win the presidency. We leave power graciously and we meet a strong opposition force. An anniversary. Could President Bwaka have been more, would he have been more strategic to say, well, because President Bwaka has been referred to as an elderly statesman. Could he have gone there and said, look, let's put all our politics aside. But this political institution, this group of Liberians came together and they stayed together and they being able to challenge us in the Unity Party. And so this is an anniversary of a major political party in our country. So I have come as a citizen, understanding that the CDC as a participant in our democratic process has helped to strengthen it. And so, it's befitting that honor. Would that have established President Bwaka as the real elder statesman? And could it be a narrative that could really, put him setting apart? And you think President Bwaka, lacks the ability to do anything like that as a political calculation? Give me your political geniusness. Let me see it.
Anthony, look, any Liberian would love to see that, what you are projecting here. They from where that question is coming from, I can sit there and I can vouch for a lot of Liberians who are listening to us right now. A lot of Liberians want to see that. You want to see a country where your leaders are united, especially with our history of 14 years of civil crisis, brutal murder of our former president, brutal murder of former government officials, brutal murder of 250,000 people, the great divide in our ethnic groups, in our tribal groups, in our religious groups because of the civil crisis. Anybody want to see, a country that you're trying to pin the air? But Anthony, no matter how long the neck of the hen, it can never crow as a rooster. No matter how long the neck of the hen, it will never crow as a rooster will crow. President Bwaka does not have it in his gene to be reconciliatory. He does not. And I think if President Bwaka had it in his gene, his age would have persuaded him to even do it. Not only his age, his level of involvement in the Liberian politics, who lived to see the Tuckman era, who lived to see the Toiber era, who lived to see the Doe era, who lived to see the Charles Taylor era, who lived to see the Ellen Johnson era. If he had it in him to be a unifier, to be a reconciler, then he is the best person to have shown it. But let me list a few things up for you. List a few things up for you and for our audience out there, right? President Bwaka was not reconciliatory enough to call Alexander Cummings to the side after the CPP breakup and say, Mr. Cummings, come to my house. And I want to say to you, it was nothing personal that happened between you and myself in a CPP breakup. The CPP had an issue and it went to court, and I was called to go to the court to go and testify based on my knowledge of what I knew. I went there as someone who respects the law, and I gave my testimony as it were. But I understand that it injured you politically. I also understand that it injured you personally. I also understand it injured your family. So come to my house, you my son. Sit down at my house. Sit down at my feet. And let me tell you, my son, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And not only that I'm sorry, but I wish that had never happened. And if it happened, as an elderly man, I want to tell you, my son, I'm sorry. I know it's going to hurt you going forward politically, but I'm sorry. If President Bwaka had it in him, we would have seen it. If President Bwaka had it in him, when he and Manuel Ellen Johnson fell apart in 2016 campaign to the 2017 elections, we would have seen him going to Manuel Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and would have heard of a reconciliatory meeting between him and Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf prior to 2023. So tell us, Madam Sirleaf, You are my former political leader, my former president, and I served 12 years under you. You trusted me with power under you for 12 years. And if we had a misunderstanding for which you didn't support me in 2016, 2017, I'm here to say, let's sit down and let me understand the reason why you didn't support me, so that the next election you can be by my side, because it does not paint a good image. It never happened. At the end of the 2023 elections, President Barker did not pick up the phone to call his rival, former President George Weah, to the extent that he denied the man access through the the airport. Right? He followed the man and broke down the main party headquarters. And I say so. He followed the man and broke down the main party headquarters. He followed the man and put a siege on the main new party headquarters in building. It took social media outcry to remove the police forces that went and surrounded the new party headquarters CDC building today, when they were just trying to even lay the foundation. So I do not see it in President Boakai to be reconciliatory. So because of that, I do not see him going to CDC to celebrate their anniversary. You know, like I said, no matter how long the neck of the hand, they would never.
We have even sent a representative to deliver a statement, you know, on his behalf, you know, just to project, because the United Party is talking about reconciliation. Sometime back, I think there was a major event on reconciliation, the burial of the former presidents, and you know, they're always preaching reconciliation. You know, that was that an opportunity missed to not even send a representative to have, you know, deliver a statement or write a statement on behalf of the president?
Welcome, Mr. Nangbe. We're soon turning over to you, sir. But you know, let me say this, right? Let me play devil advocate, right? So in any case, President Boakai going there, the ruling party people will say, oh, he will be validating CDC. When I say validating CDC, it means say, oh, you say people were corrupt, you say people were this, you say they were that, and you don't even want them to be in government. Why would you be honoring them when they on the quest to come back to power? So I can see why he will not go there, right? I can see why he will not send a representative there, because what would the representative go say, right? Would they go say, oh, CDC, we want to commend you on your celebration of the 22nd anniversary, and you are a vibrant political party in the country, and what would they say? Now, they are not like Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings knows what to say. Musa Hassan Benedict knows what to say. It is not that because they're in opposition. No, not because they're in opposition. I can assure you, if President Boakai has a function and he invites Musa Hassan Benedict, he invites next president Cummings. All right. If he invites CMC, how do you call that guy?
Simon Freeman of MPC.
Freeman, right? MPC, Simon Freeman. If he invite those guys, they will go to his function. You know why they will go there? Because they are a much more reconcilable character than President Boakai. So I can see why he will not go there. He put in the political card. You don't want to give CDC, you don't want to validate them. Well, that's politics. If that's how they want to play it, well. But I would say this in closing on this topic for Nangwe to come in. Anthony, listen. Politics is like a deck of cards, right? You don't choose the hand you get, right? But if you know how to play your hand, you stay in the game. And I think, like you said, I think President Boakai, who have made a visit down there and say some very smart things that would not praise CDC, nor will validate CDC. Rather, just tell him, say, look, my presence here just show you that my presidency is the first in its kind for a ruling party president to visit an opposition party and opposition groups and celebrate with them. Say something like that. And say that tells you how vibrant the political space is now for political participation. I mean, you can play your hand, you can still win.
Thank you. Thank you. Let us welcome J. Victor Namwe. He is a political analyst here at Focus on Liberia. But, you know, he's a veteran been in the business. He's with the CMC. He's on the campaign, under the legislature now. Victor Namwe, welcome. How you doing, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Sia and Dr. Pearson. Good to be with you. I listened to a good bit of the show. I'm sorry I'm coming late. I was tired as well. But I gotta say this to Dr. Pearson. I absolutely agree with him. And I agree, Anthony, to your question. I think this is another missed opportunity by the president. George Weah was magnanimous, more magnanimous in defeat than this president has been in victory. Usually, when you win, you become magnanimous. You bend over backwards to accommodate those who lost. You brought in the umbrella and bring them in because you have won. You have won. But the president, uh, it would have been out of character for him to have sent or gone to grand jury because he has not done so for the 2 years plus that he has been in office. He has made no effort at trying to reconcile a country that is really divided down the middle. I mean, the votes between this president and the former president, we all know, is less than 20,000. Now, the former president, on the other hand, when votes were still being counted in number in the Southeast, which is the former president's stronghold, right? Those votes were still in dispute. And yet, this president put country first, the former president, and conceded to this president. But, ever since he came into office, he has rewarded him by some of the things that Dr. Pearson described, bulldozing his office, we all know Liberia is an imperial presidency. There's a lot of power that the president has. I think he would have done something to amicably resolve that headquarters situation, but I don't think the president really. I didn't see any effort on his part, And ever since he came into office, I mean, we have said it here over and over. He could have a breakfast meeting with the opposition leaders. He could have had a lunch. There are a lot of ways he could have brought these people together, and try to build a government of national unity, whether we like it or not. Some of these opposition people, they have some very good ideas, and some of them also have a very long reach. They could help the president with some of the things that he's doing. Alice Cummings, for instance, we've said this over and over. He has a lot of international exposure and experience. Musa Belete has a lot of experience as a business person, in the region and elsewhere. Benana Yuri is a business. So, I think he could have benefited from these people because I know Musa has demonstrated time and again that he's available to meet with the president, and I believe Mr. Cummings has, because he is our president. But I don't see the president prioritizing that, this winner takes all, which really has never borne out as a successful strategy, but that is what they are pursuing. So yeah, I don't think the president would have. I didn't expect him to go to grand jury, but it would have made him look really, really good. Though it would have made him look tolerant. He would have gone there. No, all of us know that, or we knew that they had gone there to discuss about how to remove him. But he could have gone there and said, "Look, I know you guys are gathered here, but you're here to talk about country, and I came to let you know the country is open for all of us. Welcome on your deliberations, whatever it is." But no, he wouldn't have done that because it's not his character, But I'm sure you talk a lot about what happened in grand jury. I will pass it back to you on my next round. Go around.
Yeah. You stay on the floor. So when the opposition leaders gather at the CDC anniversary in grand jury, they all spoke one word: let us unite and collaborate.
Correct.
And we are talking about leaders who have done that in the past and have their own share of experiences about the things that went wrong. Benana Yuri was in the room of the CPP. Cummings was in the room of the CPP. Musa was in that room of the CPP. And is there any reason for anybody to believe that, given their past experiences, they will collaborate and craft something that will avoid the tension that caused the divide and hurt them? Mr. Nama?
Well, there was some very fruitful discussion from our briefing that we got. This was an attempt to kind of read the mood, kind of dip, the dip, take it like you dip the oil, take a temperature, So I understand there were a lot of good points that were put on the table during this gathering. I mean, obviously, this was not a meeting to go and discuss, forming a collaboration. No,
Right.
that was not. It was to go and honor the CDC, who were celebrating, their 22nd anniversary. So, but it was a good gathering, as we understand. Lots of discussions were held, and I think the more they do this, the more they become comfortable. It puts them at ease with dealing with one another.
Yeah.
For instance, there is an unfounded speculation that Musa Ability and Alice Cummings may not get along, because they both were with the CPP, and now Musa is forming the CMC. But he tells us that Cummings spent, I think, a night or two with him. We saw the photos, so they've gotten along very well. We saw Justice Janet. He represents a very considerable constituency, although he's not a political leader. But he has a following. We saw Mr. So it was a good effort. The opposition, coming together under one roof, and in a way, kind of like you indicated, synchronizing their message. I think opposition unity, they need to collaborate. I think they all recognize that it is very, very necessary for all of us to collaborate. I think since Charles Taylor won, I think the only president who has won single-handedly, post-war Liberian elections. So we all understand that. But the CPP, the CMC is saying, learning from the experiences, including our recent experience with the CPP, we don't think a coalition just for the formation, the purpose, of forming a coalition to go ahead and unseat the current president is not sufficient. We have to really make sure this time we spell out, the rules of engagement. We spell out the rules of engagement. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This time we spell out the rules of engagement. We make sure that we spell out how we will collaborate in the field. What is going to happen while we're in the field, and what is going to happen after, the elections are over. So we want to see some of those things begin to even happen before, the grand finale. Yeah, I mean, grand coalitions are being around since Cledus Watterson time, right? We know the grand coalitions have always come around, but there has always been a fight over who leads the grand coalition. So we thought, we cannot do without each other. That is a fact. It has been demonstrated time and again, except for Charles Taylor. So I think everybody is very cognizant of the fact that we do need each other if we must win as an opposition. But notwithstanding, we have to avoid the pitfalls that the Grand Coalition, the CPP, even the CDC, they had it, though they won, but they had some very serious, turbulent coming together. NPP was grumbling the whole time. Alex Tyler's group was grumbling the whole time. So we want to avoid all of those. Our recent history has proven that it is almost impossible to single-handedly win elections in Liberia. So we do need each other, but we have to do it in a way that will allow us to respect our pecking order. We are not going to be equally equal. There has to be a first and more equal. We will recognize that. But how does the second person come? How does the third person? How does the fourth person? How does the down the ballot? How do we collaborate down the? All of those things must be put on the table during the formation of a coalition. And it looks like there was, for the guys who were present there, it appears there was a very fairly good understanding and appreciation of, that position. So we'll see.
We'll see. And I want to get your take. President Weah was absent.
He was
very absent. And this is Grand Judah we're talking about. No other candidate has gotten more vote from Grand Judah than candidate Weah. And he was absent. And he is in the United States. According to information provided by Dr. Pearson, he has an obligation with FIFA and that he must be here somehow. But when he had an obligation with the Republic of Liberia as president, he asked for excuse for the money was at the very FIFA to watch his son.
Correct.
Is that a big minus for the president for him to not have been there?
You know, in the interest of opposition collaboration, I am going to be as careful with this as possible. But one, I think this was a missed opportunity by the former president. You know, gatherings like the one that just happened, that is prime stage. You know, you get a lot of free press. You know, out of that, the president wasn't there. And then there are a lot of messages that can be derived from this. I am on record as telling my party openly that I disagreed with the fact that the president, the principal who was inviting us, was not present and left us to hang out with the little kids. You know, Chairman Janga Kawo, with due respect, Janga Kawo and Musa Zambelete or Alexander Cummings or Simeon Frin, they're not on the same level. They're not, you know. So I made that clear. But you know, I have also taken the other view to it. This had to be not about President Weah. So whatever slight that we may have perceived, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for some of the reasons that we just enumerated. It was a good opportunity for the opposition people to come together. Maybe his presence probably would have detracted from, you know, maybe the kind of coverage that Mr. Cummings got, that Mr. Ability got, that Mr. Freeman got. Maybe they wouldn't have gotten that kind of coverage of the former president. So we have to turn this into our own little, you know, small victory. But I really do believe, and to my CDC brothers and sisters, the collaboration we're talking about, this is some of the things we're talking about. There will be no coronation of anybody as the perceived frontrunner. We're not going to have it. We're all going to get out in the field and we're going to earn our spot. So what looked, and I respect the former president's position with FIFA. Also, I respect the fact that his son is playing, and then dad will want to do that. But then the organizers of this meeting, Grand Gate, should have accommodated the president's schedule so that he could have been present at both places at different times. But that whole thing of colliding these two schedules, I think for me, it was, you know, it could have been avoided. So, but we're happy that our guys went in, and today we're not talking much about the statement released by the former president. We're talking about the statements made by those who were present.
Thank you, Joe Victor Number. Well said. You know, they could have planned it in a way that there will be no conflict with whatever obligation he has with FIFA, and you know, his obligation with his party, more so that this is the party's, you know, anniversary, and given the significance of the place, all right, and the timing, you know, in our politics. And we know the CDC now want to play like, well, we are the bigger party here. And, you know, I mean, for them not to have taken that timing into consideration, I think it was a terrible calculation. For me, I have no allegiance to any party, so I can speak freely and boldly and fearlessly. My bona in nobody's house, as we'll say in Liberia. So that was terrible. And another thing is that we know, Mr. Namwe, sometimes it's your anniversary, you can move the celebration, you know, dates ahead, you know, to make up for some other important things, right? They could have done that and they didn't do so, but Dr. Pearson must be happy because a man coming got a spotlight. And I saw Samuel Twer, the CDC guys were behind him as they will be behind, you know, President. So the images were positive. So when is Cummings the head of CDC now?
Look, Mr. C, if you can permit me, look, let me say something.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, look, I understand the politics, right? And Mr. Nangwed is right. Look, had former president, we have been there. Trust me, for all the political opposition politicians on one side, and former president, we have walks on another side of the podium, the whole crowd will go to where President we will walk. Am I envious of him? No. That's the young man. That's the young man's blessing. The man is popular with the people of the Republic of Liberia. You give it or take it, however you want to see it that way. But the man is the people's man. Mr. Nangma said something very important. President, current President Bouaka won with the slimmest of majority, and that majority included all of the other parties that align with him, right? Against a single man who had as much vote as all of the parties aligned with him, the Bouaka man. So there is no play around the bush that the presence of George Manuel Weah at that occasion would have drawn away attention from other participants that were there. It's obvious. Now, but this is what I would say. Anthony, take a step back and then look at it from a revolutionary change perspective, from a progressive change perspective. Do we want Liberia's future to be built around an individual that when an individual is absent, the country sits at a standstill? Or do you want to see a Liberia tomorrow where when one individual leaves, for whatever reason, like President Bouaka will leave Liberia, going on pleasure trip to go get fake peace prize and all that kind of thing. When one person leaves, there is a barrage. There's a class of individuals that can step back and still shoulder the country forward. That's what I see. That's what I see. So I would love to see a Liberia tomorrow where, in the absence of any popular individual, the rest of the patriots of Liberia will be on ground to move our country forward. And that's what I saw on that night.
Thank you, folks. If you are just joining us, we say welcome to Focus on Liberia here. We are discussing, and analyzing the CDC 22 years anniversary held over the weekend in Grand Jida County. And now we will pivot to the Unity Party. The Unity Party has been in power now for a little over 3 years. And as a government, the Unity Party has been making frantic efforts, road construction, provision of electricity, education, and all of the things, as a government, it needs to do to fulfill its promises to the Liberian people. And then the big promise there is that to rescue us. And, so the Unity Party had, some successes, some accomplishments, some efforts being made. For example, we are told that they said it, that they brought in the 285 yellow machines. And I know that the head of that yellow machine boy asking for $51 million to get them on the road. I'm sure they have no choice other than to find the money, or as the yellow machine will never get it on the road to do what they intended for, right? And then the Unity Party continued to say, like, hey, we have restored the image of Liberia. Diplomatically, the Unity Party thinks it's making headway. We are now said to be head of the Security Council of the United Nations. That is a consequential role for a tiny country like Liberia to play. Tiny in size, but big in history, right? And so I don't mean that as a disrespect to our country. And among other things, the Unity Party said is decentralizing government. The local government now is in motion. And many things. Electricity now, they are increasing the capacity of the hydro. They say they increase access to electricity from 33% to 35%. And so when you look at all of these gains, the question to the both of you is that if you look at all of these gains, are they gains significant enough to increase the Unity Party chances for 2029 victory, giving a slim little margin a one wave? Or are there other things or feeling in the country, no matter what, or is the Unity Party, in as much as it's doing these things, not doing other things, or doing other things that undermining these very successes they having, thereby minimizing their chances for 2029 success? Let's start with the veterans. Get Victor Number. This thing here that he played, he been around this.
So the problem the UP people are having, in my opinion, and I believe a lot of Liberians hold this opinion, is that first of all, they are crushing under the weight of their own promises, right? And our people will not forget the president called Liberia a narco state in June of 2023 for what is the same thing that's happening now, and that he was going to come in and rid us of this menace. If you remember, in the early days of his presidency, the first one of the things he did, instead of declaring his asset, was to go and take a drug test. I think he was telegraphing a zero tolerance to drugs. But where are we today? We're almost 3 weeks going in. We have one of the biggest busts in our times. I think a total of 333 kilograms, of drugs, hard drugs in the country. We don't even have a suspect yet. We have people of interest, they are dangling all the shiny objects in front of us and leaving the real crux of, the source of this problem somewhere else. I think the president has probably nominated 3 or 4 people at the LDEA. They can't seem to grab their, put their arms around it. Then the president himself declared that within 90 days, all of the major roads, I don't even know if he said major roads, but he said there will be no cars stuck in the mud. That president made a pronouncement. I mean, this is 2 years going. I mean, people are still showing, especially the fact that the UP trolls are all on Facebook talking about 9 hours from Nimba to Grand Gita. It's a 100-mile road. That road shouldn't take more than 4 hours. So if the road is really good, I come from Maryland. In the 80s, my brother-in-law's past side, we drove that car all the way to Plevo, back then. So people have traveled on this road before. It's not like nobody has ever traveled. But the promise will make it better. They promise us they will make it better. Josh Weah will call Barrow Medicine because he accomplished a lot in terms of trying to connect our various communities. They have not done that. They have made absolutely no improvement on that front. Then this whole fight against graft, I mean, we can go from LRRC dismissal to the MCS's dismissal to the central bank dismissal, where he took the man behind the house and paid him over $300,000. We can go to LTEA, Abdullah Kamara. He was a part of the team that was audited, for which that team was removed, and he brought him back and set him in charge. All of these contradictions. So can we say that today they have a success story to tell? Listen to Father on the other network. He is supposed to be the man now. He's supposed to be the face of the comeback, the re-election campaign. He's struggling. He's talking about overpass. Those are the accomplishments. But if you check, which I haven't, I'm sure that if you check, we may have even initiated that project. I will have to go and check. Most of what they're doing is they're completing what the previous government said. Yeah, get it, continuity. I understand that. But these things were in the pipeline. You promised us more. Ever since you came in, you've been in almost 3 years now. We haven't really seen anything significant. If anything, some of the conditions have gotten worse. Unemployment, people are not getting paid, So I will pass it on to Dr. Pearson, but we have a lot of argument to make in the field, and we will make the argument for which we don't think this government is capable of leading us beyond 2029. I mean, they've demonstrated over and again they don't have the capacity to do that.
Mr. Damwell, for me, as a Liberian journalist, dedicated to accountability journalism, has a sector been improved? To say, well, we know we have troubles everywhere, except for this place. And this is the government that made that possible. So if you look at education, is the needle being moved? Can we use the University of Liberia as a mirror to tell whether we're doing okay? JFK, are things better there? I want you to tell me, what is the progress that has been made? Is there an area where a problem has been solved by the Unity Party? They had 12 years and now they have 6. Have they solved a problem? Tell me.
I mean, I'm trying to be as generous as I can, but to be honest with you, and I'm not even kidding around, and anybody will be hard pressed. I know the president. He has move the needle somewhat on the establishment of the War and Economic, Crimes Court. Even though there are Babu and others, there are, I think, concerns about funding. I don't know. I'll be honest. Maybe our best friend Wallow here might, copy and paste something here. Maybe we can read it. But I'll be honest. I'm not being flippant or anything. But I'll be honest. And I pass it on to Dr. Pearson. I don't see where. Look, my friend Samuel Boke Namwe, and I'll give him credit. He's at a renewable energy. He's doing some things there, right? But the question is, did these things get initiated? I told him to come on one of these platforms. He said, no, you're not going to do it. I said, come and talk about what he's doing. He seemed to be making some little, progress there. But I don't know because I don't have the information. We thought our friend at the civil service were doing well, and now look where we are. It may going to sit there and tell them to get fired and, all of this kind of stuff. So, I honestly, I would like to give them credit if I know where the credit is due, but I don't. I can't figure out where. So I will pass it on to you and Dr. Pearson.
All right, Dr. Pearson. The United Party has a laundry list of progress, achievements, and significant efforts. I listed some of them. Are those achievements, those progress being made, those efforts they have made, are they monumental enough? So much that nothing else that may be happening in the country will not undo those things and lead into an unsuccessful campaign in 2029?
Look, let's be honest. I think United Party is doing a lot. The last time I checked, every now and then, NOCA, not NOCA, but NAPSCO that's supposed to be managing pensioners' money, and one of the biggest investors in Liberia right now when it comes to investing poor people money, that cannot even account for the very poor people who pay into that fund, cannot get in one statement that we know of. I myself, we are paying to NASCO so many times in Liberia, and I can show you one statement from NASCO to say this is your statement. Like LRA will say, they push you, go online, register your stuff and pay your taxes to get tax clearance and all that kind of thing. NASCO cannot show me one slip that it gave me as taxpayer and say, Clarence, this is your slip of your payment into NASCO. Yes, your balance sheet. I've never received it in my entire life. For over 30 plus years I've been in Liberia and worked for Liberia. I've never received any of those slips ever in my entire life. But yet and still, President Broker did well. He bought vehicles using NASCO money, right? Over $500,000. So they're doing well. I think another thing that they did well would be the removal of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Jeff Onati-Kofa, that led to the burning of the Capitol building. I mean, they did well. And not only that they did well to the extent that they got the people who they think burned it down in court. And the case still ongoing. I mean, that's tremendous. That's tremendously well. For a president to remove whole speaker, the first branch of government to remove the speaker from office, that's good. I think they're doing well. And another thing I think they're doing well is that petty traders who do not have jobs, right? That the president came on air in State of the Nation address, the so-called State of the Nation address, and say to the Senate and the House of Representatives and to the lawmakers that were there, he said to them, we have created 70,000 jobs. And Mo Ali came to justify the 70,000 jobs, include the Shushan board, water setter, coconut setter board, gas oil on the side of the road setter. But yet and still, all of those people, businesses have been removed from the street, and they have been, so we mean all of the 70,000 jobs now, they're back in the homes doing nothing. Yeah, they're doing well. They're doing well. And I think I can also commend them also for over 1,000 plus of people who they took from civil service and took from under how do you call them, supplemental payroll that they claim to be associated with CDC, right? And they took them from jobs. Hundreds of people lost their jobs, no way to feed their family. So they're doing well. Yeah, I think they're doing well. Another thing I can mention that they're doing well, Anthony, a lot of people sleeping homeless. With a president who said, God is not making new land. So anybody who thinks they own land and somebody been squatting the land, they can work out one money and a barrage bulldozers can come and break down your home, break down your business, and make you homeless overnight. Mothers are sleeping in vehicles. Mothers are sleeping on the streets. The babies are sleeping in the streets. The children sleeping in the streets. They cannot find anywhere to go to sleep. So the government is doing well. Right? So let me say this, Anthony. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. For me, Liberia is not Monrovia. Liberia is not Painesville City. Liberia is not Carisburg. Liberia is not Mount Barkley. Liberia is not Buchanan City. Liberia is not Johnsonville. The entire Republic of Liberia in the 21st century, we still have people live in thatched homes and mud floors and mud walls. We still have schools in the rural communities that still going to school and sitting on a roofing that look the sifters. What has changed? No, Anthony. No, the president, right where they said the other day, the MCC scorecard demonstrated they feel rule of law, they feel access to credit, they feel good government effectiveness, they feel every other thing that has to do with girls' education. They feel all those things. So the president was right. He said, look, if we keep feeling this, how do we get MCC to sign this contract? So the president as well, they're doing well. If those things are what they consider to be doing well, then they're doing well. But in my world, where Alexander Cummings is talking about, and I think Musa Hassan Bedete is thinking about, is when you see Musa Hassan Bedete walk across to communities where there's no access to bridge. He builds them a bridge, even though he's not in public or he's not the president of the Republic of Liberia. He builds them a bridge. Mr. Cummings is talking about kids having access to quality technological education. He got a technical school for kids learning technical trainings in technology. Those are things we want to see the country move forward. Outside of Liberia, not Liberia, but outside Monrovia, outside Montserrat. Anthony, I don't see what we're doing. Maybe I will just give one passing mark to my man Solo. Maybe the MOUs, we can count them as successful. Yeah, then put the MOU there. All the MOU, put them there. Then those are the successes that they have made. Until then, we've seen nothing, Anthony.
All right. Well, I want the audience to participate here. This is the phone number to call. Call 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791-403#. Again, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. The number is posted both Facebook and YouTube. So if you look in the live feed there, you will see the number. I posted it and I'm going to post it multiple times so that you can have access to the number. Well, you know, the Unity Party has been making some efforts, some of the effort that they consider as accomplishment, and I'm not going to take it from them. Very recently, we saw the launch of a digital village in Lofa. I am also aware that they are building digital hubs, and it's being done through the LT8 in collaboration with the youth and sports. They are doing that. The Unity Party brought in 285 yellow machines. They constituted a yellow machine bowl that is supposed to be in full swing. The Unity Party, under its leadership, has been able to restore Liberia's standing in the international community. These are things, I'm telling you, things that they list as achievements. In terms of roles, the both of the role going to Grand Jide as an achievement, you know, something that they have done, for which it's easier now to go to not only Grand Jide, but to Mr. Namwe, County of Maryland. You know, you can get to Plebo easily, you can drive, and you will get to Monrovia in a day. And so the Unity Party mentioned the provisional they have, I call it, from what I read, I think there's one of the turbine at the hard road that been down since 2021. It has been restored, and so the capacity for power generation now, you know, has increased. I think they took it from 33% to 35% right now. Then we also have the solar farm that the Unity Party is working on, and you know, to increase the generation of electricity in Liberia, and cleaning the ghost names. We all know there have been a lot of ghost names. This is something I know for a fact, and many of them have been eliminated from the payroll. All right, and recently we saw that I think about 200 plus people or 100 plus people added on the payroll from ELWA Hospital. The government argues that these are Liberians that the government is putting on payroll so that they can have income. And, you know, and many things we read in the media that the Unity Party. So if you want to know all the Unity and MOUs, you know, I give it to the government. They have signed more MOU than any other government in the history of the Republic, and that is an established fact. And, you know, all they have to do now is that many of these MOUs, you know, must be translated, you know, into and then the Unity Party said it raised the budget from around the 800 or 700 500 carry to $1 billion. Now we're talking 1.2 billion. And according to the finance minister, they're going to sustain that. They're even going to grow that. The LRA continuing to say is exceeding every projection in terms of revenue generation. And they are tackling, you know, our domestic and foreign debt. They're trying to reduce it, even though the numbers, you know, say otherwise. From
Anthony, calm down.
Why you not calm down?
Calm down. Jack, calm down.
Okay, go ahead.
Calm down.
You think your friends are not doing something?
First and foremost, our ascendancy to the United Nations Security Council non-permanent membership was not the making of the Unity Party. Zero. That was negotiated prior to Unity Party coming to power. That struck that off, right? Let move. That move
saying they didn't make any
every major road network happening in Liberia right now was based on prior arrangement made by previous governments. This government is yet to show it's some contract that they negotiated and they are now implementing in the country. It did not exist. It does not exist. Let me move forward. You're talking about 285 yellow machine. That's a white elephant.
Here's the thing though. From Dota, I've been hearing about this. I know many common road. I've been hearing that. Now the UP is saying this thing is happening now. Right? And I also been hearing about this overhead bridge. I seen the construction going on now.
That overhead bridge was arranged by Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf.
But it's been implemented by the Unity Party.
During the time our young brother,
we did not get credit because I see cement posts in the ground.
Yeah.
I see people working on the road.
You see that? Let's get something straight here, right? Government is continuity. So I will give you credit if you keep and mess something on the books and you follow through with it. That's a sign of good leadership. I will not take that from anybody, right? But I would disagree that somebody will claim that it is their initiative when it's not the initiative. Give credit to whom it is due. In my world, in my academic world, if you steal somebody's logic, steal somebody's ideas, steal somebody whatever, it's bad. It's totally bad. You gotta give credit to who credit is due. Now let me go further. You're talking about
the thing is government is stationary, right? And you know, when you come in, you know, you continue the government work. So we have to give them the credit. So it's not.
You have that. That's the point, Clarence, Dr. Pearson. You got to give them credit, but you don't let them go ahead. I will add on to. I mean, the solar farm, for instance. A lot of, but go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, let me just give language change. But after I say this, look, Anthony, if we can, and I would try to do that, or you are the researcher yourself, right? Let us list all of the MOUs that Boycott Foreign Visit initiated. All of the MOUs. Let's list all the MOUs. Let's put them on. Let's list them. Let's come and have a show here and see if we can check them off one by one that has materialized into physical cash.
Okay. I will
Yeah.
do a research and
If,
report on
if
that.
we can do that, we can check it off.
I mean, we can go ahead, but to what end? The solar farm we talked about. Samuel Tour signed the agreement before he left office. So that was also the pegs, the cornerstone were already planted before we our government left office.
Right.
The $1.2 billion. I hope we can sustain. You said Minister Gaffron said we will sustain, but we all know because Asela Metel gave us a signing bonus of $200 million. We captured that in our budget. So we'll see whether the next budget, in fact, the forecast that they made, the next budget is going to be less than this year's budget. They already, for the next 2 years, because the $200 million will not be available again. So we can go on and talk about their proclaimed achievements, but most of these things, like Dr. Pearson is saying, they're completing projects that were initiated. But what they're not doing, because it is the right to do that. We said one government continues where the other government left off, but you got to give them credit. But they go around and make it seem as though these are projects that were initiated by them. That is plagiarism, like he's saying. That's misrepresentation. You got to give credit to where it's due. And morally, talking about 76% of the people have access to drinking water. Seriously? You mean you're talking about water that the people are capturing? That's what you call access to drinking water? These are some of the things they're boasting about. They have nothing to brag about because they have no complaint. The president has spent over $16 million just traveling around. That $16 million could go for a lot of things. This $1.2 billion budget, they got only 13 point something, 13.5 or $6 million for the entire health sector that we're talking about. Now the health minister wants to establish an insurance agency because a lot of people are showing up. They don't have, where you and I used to go to saying to the pharmacy, they give us something to carry home. They don't have those anymore. So people are coming and they have no way to attend to them. That's another agency that is being proposed to be added to the bloated payroll that we already have, which is consuming over 80%, together with all the other jolly of the budget, when we should be shrinking. So, look, this is a debate that we're prepared to have. Let them come. We're ready. It will be hard, and we will point out to them how they have failed our people.
Thank you.
Over-promised and under-delivered.
Thank you, gentlemen. Time to fast span. I will, solicit your closing, and let us close with the draws boss at RIA. The government has fallen flat on its feet in trying to answer the questions. They're dragging their feet. There are people who are implicated to the level of suspect. They have not been arrested. We don't even know what has been done with what was confiscated in the first place, the seizure, the drugs that are seized, where is it in the first place? We're not getting regular updates, and these things are concerning. And so I really want you both to close on this drugs thing, and then
So like we said in the previous videos,
so that's the LDEA agents celebrating the seizure and the destruction or burning of marijuana and other substances that they were able to seize from, ordinary people in the communities. Today, they, pulled it together and they tried to burn it, and you see the agents there celebrating. I know 11:35 Jesus Web, and they are They are singing, and they are doing this. Uh, I don't know why. When we have a major drug case that the LDA cannot even have a fitting press conference. The LDA is not updating us. People are out of patient. All right. Names have been called. No arrest of these major individual suspects. Okay. And I don't know where we're going with this. And you guys are the panelists here. Let me get your closing, and you should speak to that. And this is serious. Remember, the president declared drugs as a national emergency in Liberia after taking drug tax. So let me hear from you. Let's start with you. Dr. Pearson. Let me hear you.
Anthony, the issue of drug in Liberia is a very serious issue. Especially so that we discussed it last time. It's not just about drug entering the country now, it's drug being peddled out of the country. And then that's a serious problem. I heard former President we are calling Liberia now, referring to it under President Burke as a narco state, right? And that's the major debate and talking point on some platforms right now. But I would say this. The drug issue and the issue that had to do with whether it is narco state or not is like a pregnancy right now. You know how when pregnancy start, they would start accusing you small. Oh, you pregnant? Say, no, I'm pregnant. Oh. Say, but your chest looking pomo. You say, no, ain't pomo. I'm not pregnant. But the end of the day, like bro would say, the pregnancy will not come from behind. It will still come from in front. And for the Liberian people listening here, I think it should be troubling because now that it is a matter of not just drug entering the country, but drug coming out of the country into major Western countries, it's going to put us in the diaspora in a precarious situation. Those who are arguing whether Liberia is a narco state or not, I say right now it's a matter of pregnancy. Let me tell you why. In politics, there are three definitions, three distinct characterization of narco state when they want to politically define narco state in politics.
Dr. Pearson?
Yeah.
Dr. Pearson, sorry, may I stop you? We have a caller. I just realized that. So sorry. So hold your closing there. We have Dr. Prince Yakesin on the line. Welcome. How you doing?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm good.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sure you called to participate in the discussion. You have a minute, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been following the discussion here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the brother Victor Nangle. He keeps correcting Dr. Pearson that government is continuing. Yes, and that is one reason I have written a 105-page document I'm going to be submitting to the Constitutional Review Committee.
Okay.
And one of the amendments has to do with the government continuity. Liberians don't understand that. We always say this is the alien project Jowea wants to complete. Or this is Jowea's project that Boka wants to complete. So in that amendment, there's one provision of that amendment that we have a quality assurance bureau filled with think tanks to carve out the agenda for Liberia. It does not matter who becomes president. You will look into the agenda and pick on one or two to implement doing your thing. When you leave, it's not your project. It's the government project. It's Liberian people project. It's not your project. So you will not say, oh, because you initiated it and someone is competing, say, oh, that is not your project, it's this person's project. We have to stop that in Liberia. We have to move the country forward. So we need to have a quality assurance bureau filled with think tanks. I am still thinking who to appoint the quality assurance bureau. That is why I'm still battling on who to appoint it. And that will be a national debate when that goes to the Constitutional Review Committee. That will be a national debate. Who to appoint the 10 or who or whatsoever number that we agree to be on our bureau, to set the agenda for Liberia, to be able to monitor it. not just for just council, but to monitor its implementation, to ensure that the national projects are implemented. For example, if we say we want to build a superhighway from Cape Palma from Cape Mount to Cape Palma, and Joseph Nima Boga's government initiated today, and he leaves power, and the next government comes, that person will not say it's Joseph Nima Boga or he's the one that initiated it. No. It is the Liberian People project, it's a government project, and it has to be now. In fact, that would determine whether you should be re-elected or not. Because if you don't implement it, and you chose to do that, the Liberian people will judge you like that. So we set the agenda for you before becoming president.
Thank you. And
that's what I wanted to put here.
Thank you. Yep. And before you leave, Dr. Yerkesin, you say you're trying to see what the approach would be to decide the head of that board. I have a suggestion. So that my suggestion is that the head of that board should be elected, and that person should be elected by the legislature. And in the election process, the lawmakers should have nothing to do with it. The election process should be administered by whoever is the chief clerk for the House of Representatives. That's one example. That's my suggestion. Or you can say the Senate can vote for that person. All right. Whoever is the chief clerk for the Senate is the one who's going to administer. The lawmakers will come and vote. And once that person is voted, that person becomes the head of that board. And now they will track all of these projects, and then they will do their documentation and do their report. I think that is my suggestion. I don't want another bureau to be established because we've got too many institutions. But I just thought to give you that suggestion, hoping that maybe it may lead you to something much better.
No, it makes a lot of sense. But then about the appointment of members, okay, that is the chairman you referred, but what about the appointment of the think tank? What would be the suggestion to that?
Yeah, all right. Well, I was just making my suggestion. Thank you for your participation, and we hope that you will continue to participate, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye, brother. All right, Dr. Pearson, go ahead with your closing. You are muted, sir.
Yeah, I should say thanks to Dr. Yerkesin for calling. Dr. Yerkesin and I go way back as well, from childhood days and stuff like that. So I mean, he's a great thinker. He's thinking Liberia and trying to see how best that country can move forward. But this is what I would say. Whatever he's projecting is similar to what we have had: Vision 2030, Vision 2040, Vision 20 this and 20 that. People imagining that when you set a national vision, every other vision will fall into that vision. Well, our brother can come here and explain that better for all of us, Brother Cannon. Mr. Cannon can explain that better for us. But I think going to legislate projects, that's something that they're going to oppose for some reasons, and I'm sure will be because every president comes with different priority. I'm not sure if they will be willing to succumb their own priorities towards some pre-planned priorities. So, I mean, we can have a national dialogue for that. But I go back to the drug issue. Anthony is becoming worrisome. Let me tell you something. Look, there are three categories for political definition for a narco state. The incipient narco state, that is, you have some level of significant influence of the drug cartel in the country, but targeting lower and middle level managers in the country or government officials, and rather don't have a hold on the entire government. And I see that in Liberia. Whether people agree or not, we are in what I call the incipient narco state. You can look the word up, and you can judge what that means for yourself from the actual political definition. Because I say this to me, look, for us to have had that quantity of drug busted and nobody immediately went to jail, it's worrisome, Anthony. It's worrisome. Because let me tell you something, drug has a zero tolerance law in Liberia. Drug is one of the is one of those laws. The drug law is one of those laws in Liberia that is not even a bailable offense. If you are accused for probable cause for drug trafficking, whatever the case is, you go to jail. You can't come outside while that case is being looked into. If you recall, we had Musa Bedete's son in question here, and Musa tried to build out his son. People went on social media, even the very United Party people, and argue that when someone is accused of drug trafficking or whatever the case is, they must be in jail. They cannot be built out. And Musa Bedete agreed to allow his son to go through the process. And today, as we speak, Musa Bedete's son is still paying that price for that situation. Today, we have people who are on record for not only harboring the drug in their homes and not even at their warehouse they claim they have, and the drug managed to get as far as to the airport. Almost, in fact, not only got the airport, it got clearance stamp on it, clear to get on the plane. And you're telling me nobody in jail to now, people sitting home because they got connection to the current government in power, nobody in jail to now. And then we're talking about investigation going on. There will be probably there will be indictment coming soon. That tells me that we're in the incipient narco state category right now. Lower level and low level individuals in government are entrenched in this drug trafficking, and they are passing on information as middlemen to the upper class leaders who don't want to be in the forefront to be caught in between the sisters. And now the upper guys are trying to protect the middlemen that are functioning for them. That's what I see happening here now. That's why nobody in jail now. Because if somebody was not in the government trying to defend people, trust me, Gregory Coleman will have somebody in jail right now. Gregory Coleman will have somebody in jail right now. DEA will have somebody in jail right now. Pending investigation. All while investigation is going on. Another thing, I pray we do not reach the advanced narco state where certain organization has influence and have infiltrated the highest level of government and have heavily influencing national policies and the judiciary. I hope we will not get there. But the last time we had $100 million worth of drugs passing through our country, and nobody got convicted under CDC for those drugs. People went to court and walked free. $100 million worth of drugs. That tells you something is wrong. Last but not the least, I will pray hard that will not reach to what they call state sanctioned narco state, where now the cartel themselves running the country, and nobody can do nothing about it. But right now, as I said to you, it's a pregnancy, Anthony. People trying to argue whether we're pregnant or we're not pregnant. For me, we're pregnant, but the pregnancy is in this infant stage. If we want to abort, this is the time to abort it. And I don't see Unity Party aborting that bad pregnancy of the drug cartel trying to take hold of our country. Thank you.
Well, Dr. Pearson, thank you for your closing. You know, when you say you're praying, anytime somebody say I'm praying for the problem to get solved, I can start running, because we've been praying from 1847. We're not solve no real problem. So I can start running because I know it will take another 180 years before that problem gets solved. Just Victor Namwe, you're closing.
Yeah, well, let me thank Dr. Yegerson for calling in and for his contribution. Thanks to Dr. Pearson as well. And thank you, Mr. Sear. You know, thanks to our audience as well for joining us tonight. You know, I honestly, I don't know what else to say about the situation with the drugs that, you know, is puzzling all of us. You know, like we said, this didn't happen. In fact, some people pull it as far back as May 22nd, but we know the last one was around, I think, June 8th. You know, today is the 29th, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's been over 2 weeks. And like we were all saying, we don't even have a suspect. You know, the people are parading videos of yellow caps. And, you know, I only taxi in Liberia. When you stop somebody and pick them up, you don't ask them what you get in your bag. You just put it in the trunk and you drive on. So is this now supposed to be part of the investigation? Like, you know, so, but, you know, like Dr. Pearson said, there are real dire consequences that could result from mishandling this case. Liberia could become a pariah, you know. All of us here in the diaspora, traveling all over the place, we could be subjected to extra searches that could even cause us untold headaches, missing your flight and all kinds of stuff, probably even being denied entry, to other countries. Then, of course, there's a whole problem that, the question of Liberia, people living there, and not only those of us in the diaspora, we know what happens to narco states, and I'm afraid we're getting there. I hope this government does not succeed in getting us there. They need to get on with this case already. It's been way too, no suspect yet, So we understand that, some of the information is coming from people outside of our country, and this is what is giving us such a hard time because they can't deny and they can't, like they always do, mago and declare, for instance, like the Pearson just talked about a $100 million drug bust, those guys came out of jail, some of them, they were waving, anyway. So, but it's been a great show tonight. Thank you very much. This is very unfortunate for our country. We hope the UP government will quickly get their hands around it. But it's been great being with you guys tonight. Thank you very much.
That was the voice of J. Victor Nambe from the CMC angle there. And earlier you heard Dr. Clarence R. Pearson with his closing. We want to say thank you for staying with us tonight as we did our best to discuss two major national issues. And this is how we will come to the end of today's edition of our programs here, Focus on Liberia. We will now close with our usual song that says, "We are indeed all Liberians." And tomorrow I'll be here. I'll be hosting another show. You will be notified accordingly. Focus on Liberia. This is what we do. Bye-bye. Enjoy the sun. We are all Liberians.
We are Liberians.